If there's something strange in your neighborhood, it doesn't necessarily have to mean it's a ghost.
I don't know if you guys can see that. That is Brooke Hatfield taking on her responsibilities and duties as a ghost dad. And I will say, if you've ever wanted to see a lady with Bill Cosby's hands, this is your event horizon. I don't think those words have ever been said in conjunction with each other before. All right, here's Brooke's bio. Brooke Hatfield is a writer and artist who would be okay with Andy Rooney's ghost haunting her. Ugh, bios are the worst, Jason. Damn it. So please applaud Brooke Hatfield and the trailer for Ghost Dad!
Do you know how weird that's going to make me look? Oh, there goes Diane, you know, Casper's daughter.
A romance to keep alive.
I can't.
Oh.
Oh, no, I don't mean that. I can't. Of course I wouldn't.
And a secret to keep.
I know that you're an alien. I want $50,000 or I go to the newspaper.
You don't try to threaten me.
Bill Cosby. And you've never seen him before. Invisible.
Daddy, can I take you to Sean's house?
Ghost Dad.
I love how much of that trailer is devoted to here's how he became a ghost dad. As if that's what we came here for. All right. My father was decidedly corporeal when we watched Ghost Dad on a recent Friday night. He was stretched out on our couch, his standard spot once the sun goes down, and he and my mom were loudly talking over the blaring 55-inch television he got from his company after 25 years of employment. He hunts a lot, and his hearing in what he calls his shotgun ear isn't what it used to be. P.S. Has anyone ever heard this term, shotgun ear? Okay, a lot of people seem like they hadn't when I was telling friends about this. It's when you shoot a gun a lot and the ear that's by your shotgun can't hear very well. So, there you go. So now my parents yell conversation at each other over reruns of Gunsmoke and episodes of Trisha Yearwood's cooking show, and now Ghost Dad. Ghost Dad was released in 1990 to terrible reviews because Ghost Dad is terrible. Gary Thompson of the Philadelphia Daily News wrote, "Ghost Dad is so bad, it's scary." The film marked the fourth and final time Sidney Poitier directed Bill Cosby, and you can see why they called it quits. If only Ghost Dad were dead because this film had been mercy killed. My not Ghost Dad is a talker. A few years ago, he finally got a cell phone that wasn't a car bag phone, and now he's constantly talking to a Sunday school classmate or a hunting buddy or his brother or Mr. Gene up the road who frequently rides over to our house on his lawnmower. During Ghost Dad, he was talking to Mr. Gene about planting deer patches at his farm. I was going to plant wheat clover, but I don't know, he says, as Bill Cosby's ghost confronts his celluloid children with mortality and hijinks. During all of this, my mom sits in her recliner, the same one she sits in every night, the one surrounded by old issues of Southern Living and Real Simple that I plow through ravenously whenever I'm home. She's tired because earlier that day she went to chemotherapy, where her white blood count was low, but her spirits were high. The nurses are always very sweet to her. A large part of her takeaway from cancer treatment seems to be, isn't it neat what science can do? She giggles a little at Ghost Dad, but mostly she's looking for lesson plans on her Kinchafuni Primary School issued iPad. She was Teacher of the Year in 1999, and she could have retired 4 years ago, but teaching first graders how to read is how Susie Hatfield rolls. Malignant cells be damned. On Fridays, if her students are good, she lets them take off their shoes. She calls it Stinky Feet Fridays. But even if it's Stinky Feet Friday, her shoes stay on during chemo, though the chairs are very comfortable, and you can put your feet up while watching the Rachel Ray show. Levity break! Have you ever ghosted from a party? It's when you leave without saying goodbye. It's also known as the Irish goodbye or the French exit, but I have some proposals for an Atlanta-specific variety. The Toco head for the hills, the Virginia Byland, the East Lake Flake, the West Ending, the Marietta Elsewhere Getta, the Avondale Escape, the Vine City Splitty, the Kasim Leave, and the clear winner, the Bankhead Bounce. Here's the official tagline for Ghost Dad. He's been walking through doors. He's been falling through floors. He's been going through a lot lately, but he's still Dad. A lot of times, when my dad is on the phone, he's telling someone how Mom is doing. The side effects from her chemotherapy and immunotherapy are blessedly minimal, relatively speaking. She's tired, but still able to work. She still has some eyelashes, but draws on most of her eyebrows with a pencil that she got from an American Cancer Society program that gives free makeup and esthetician training to cancer patients. She always insists I take some of the donated makeup. These are good brands, Brooke. Her cancer started in her left breast, and after a double mastectomy and chemotherapy, she was cancer-free until 2.5 years ago, when the cancer metastasized into her lungs. Well-meaning people who don't understand that stage 4 cancer isn't curable tell me that she's going to beat this. And I've learned to calmly explain that, short of a cure, we're in this cancer business for the long haul. During my mom's first bout of chemo, friends and Sunday school classmates and coworkers brought so much food that my parents also gratefully accepted a donated refrigerator for the garage, giving us the redneck distinction of not 1, not 2, but 3 freezers in which to store venison. My mom's Sunday school friends recently whisked her away on a surprise beach trip, and Miss Yvette, who has cut her hair for as long as I have been alive, never lets her pay for a trim. Human kindness is overflowing. We don't like to talk about dying, even though all of us are going to do it. It's taboo because it's uncomfortable, but not because it's rare. Contemplating death is additionally surreal in the rural South, where the prevalence of hunting means a high percentage of the meat my parents eat was killed by my father. And it doesn't stop at the dinner plate. The amount of taxidermy in my parents' house is unrivaled, unless you also know someone with a 40-year-old, 125-pound stuffed snapping turtle the size of a coffee table. The first friend I had who died of cancer was a brilliant red-headed stick of human dynamite named Alyssa. Her parents and boyfriend accompanied her to doctor's appointments when she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and she referred to them as her pussy posse. Alyssa also wrote this joke, which I really think might be perfect. A guy who's actually a tumor walks into a bar that's actually my uterus, and the bartender, who's actually my doctor, says, "Guess what? You have cancer." My mother's brand of humor has traditionally been more Pollyanna than Paula Poundstone, but when told that the artificial sweetener aspartame, a key ingredient to her beloved Crystal Light, had been linked to a risk of cancer, my mom replied, "Well, that cat's out of the bag." This is really morbid, but I've already thought of the first line to my mom's eulogy. "Well, Mom's in heaven now, so I hope they have a Clinique bonus up there." Comedy is easy, dying is hard. A few hours before we watched Ghost Dad, Mom's chemo appointment ran long, and we had to leave the oncology ward to go to the dreaded 7th floor, where patients go if their treatment lasts past 6 p.m. 4 other people made the trek with us down hospital hallways and into cramped elevators. A woman whose daughter was undergoing treatment for a newly diagnosed breast cancer, and an older couple. The wife was in a wheelchair, impossibly small and wearing a pink terry cloth turban, and her husband wore a baseball cap that said husband of a breast cancer survivor. Presumably, the fight was back on. When he wheeled her over cobblestones in the hospital walkway, she made this noise right here. I learned that from my grandkids, she said. My mom would be a really incredible grandmother. Perhaps the most offensive thing about Ghost Dad is that it has a happy ending. And no, I'm not just talking about the film being over. Spoiler alert, I guess, but it turns out Bill Cosby isn't dead after all, and Ghost Dad resumes being an actual dad, and everyone parades happily out of the hospital and into a waiting sports car. My mom and I leave the hospital at a tired gait, but when we pick up a pizza on the way home, she insists on paying for it. She's been going through a lot lately, but she's still Mom. Thanks.
Brooke Hatfield, everybody!
Scene missing.